Tell me about a time that someone spoke bad about you in your language and then you showed them that you understand the language. I'll go first. So we were in Paris and a lot of people in Paris speak Arabic. We were in Zara and this mother was shopping for her daughter, but her daughter wasn't with her. Her daughter was on FaceTime. She was walking around the shop with the phone saying, do you like this? Do you like this? She was speaking Arabic to her daughter on FaceTime and I obviously understood it. I was lining up in the change rooms and she started walking towards me and she was telling her daughter like in Arabic that there's a girl that's the same height, like I'm going to get her to try on the clothes for you. She asked me to try on the clothes and I was like, yeah, all right, whatever. Mind you, it was 40 degrees and we were on a Kentucky tour and we're already so late for everything. Like I don't have enough time to do anything, but I was like, all right, let's be nice and try on the clothes for her. Anyway, I came out of the change room in the dress to show her daughter on FaceTime and they're speaking in Arabic saying like, you know, it looks good. And the mom's like, yeah, she's the same height as you, but she's just fat. And I was like, she said in Arabic, she literally called me fat to my face. With no hesitation that I could possibly understand the language. I was like, sorry, I'm on holidays, I've gained a few kilos. She didn't even say sorry.
Tell me about a time someone talked about you in another language.
Okay, so I've got a couple, but I'll tell you one that happened recently. It was just last December before the other lockdown. And we were selling Christmas stuff at my retail. So these two Haliji girls came up with this big sleigh that we sell and it's felt and it's massive, by the way. Massive. Now I've worked in this retail for 4 years now. I know how to package it up safely and sound for the rain not to damage it. So I told one of the girl, I know how to package it for you, is that okay? And she said, yeah, please could you do it because it's raining outside, whilst the other girl was on her phone. Now here I am packaging it up, folding the sides down for it to fit the bag. Backstory, I know Arabic because my gran is Arabic, but it's not fluent 100%. She turns around and tells her friend, look at this crazy girl, what's she doing with that sleigh? At that point of my shift, I was very tired and couldn't be bothered fighting, so I just turned around and said to her, listen hun, I know exactly what to do with it, you don't worry. Then she stayed quiet, didn't even say anything the whole transaction, didn't say thank you, bye. She just walked away with her friend, and then I seen them again and it was quite awkward.
Tell me about a time someone talked about you in another language and you showed them that you understood them in that language.
When I was 16, I became an exchange student and went over to Australia. My host parents were picking me up at the airport along with another boy who was from Austria. At the time, my host parents were also hosting a guy from Germany. Both of the guys spoke German. Little did they know I was currently taking German. So our host parents and the German boy pick us up at the airport. We all get crammed in this tiny vehicle and we're just having small talk in the back. All of a sudden, the guys start switching to German. I wanted to test my new German skills, so I thought I would just listen for a little bit. Then they start talking about me. And they are talking about the pretty American girl who they're going to be living with. I let this carry on for a little bit, because who doesn't like hearing compliments? Then my host mom says, hey, speak in English so Becca can understand. I look at both boys and I say, it's okay, I understand them. I speak German too. Both boys' faces when they looked at each other, they started laughing and then I gave them a few sentences in German. But yeah, gotta expect the unexpected.
Tell me about a time that someone spoke bad about you in your language and then you showed them that you understand the language.
Okay, so story time. This was back in high school when it happened, and I was waiting in Macca's line. There was these bunch of boys, Islander, Samoan, standing behind me whilst I was waiting in line, and I could just hear him saying, "Muli." Don't mind me, I'm plastic, but I can still understand, you know. So yeah, anyway, so that means look at her bum in Samoan, and I was not having it. I turned around and I was like, you know I can understand you, right? The look on his face, bro, I was like, that's what you get. But yeah, anyways, he ended up saying sorry and then he just did the walk of shame, and I was just confused, like, I look Samoan, I don't know how you could get it wrong. But yeah, it's pretty funny because I still see him around, so I hope you've learnt your lesson. Period.
Tell me about a time someone talked about you in another language and you showed them that you understood them in that language.
全程拍下来呀！我说这两个人全程拍下来，完蛋了，惹到分子了。
我也被讲你看好久啊。
What am I? How am I gonna? I can't even.
Tell me about a time someone talked about you in another language and you showed them that you understood them in that language.
So it wasn't so much that someone talked about me, but these people just assumed that I was tourist. So I visited Fiji a couple of years ago, and as I got out of the airport, I had to catch the bus from Nandi to Suva, which is like a 4-hour bus ride. And I walked out, and the bus driver was chatting with another dude. And I walked up, and he looked at me, and he's like, "Oh, boss, you going Suva?" I was like, "Yeah, Suva." And he's like, "Oh, okay, $50, boss." Then he turns around to the other guy, and he's like, "Nai batao." And I was like, "How much?" And he's like, $50. I was like, "Boss, tum jud bolo na?" And he looked at me, he's like, "Oh, are tum kai viti." I was like, "Ha, ham kai viti, re ham Hindi jano." He looked at me, he's like, "Are yaar, sorry yaar, sorry." I was like, "Nah, sorry yaar, tu mang tachor hamar paisa gandu." Bro, anyways, he didn't want to let me on the bus, but I was like, "Nah, bro." Luckily, the other guy was like, "Nah, bro, let him on. You got caught flat out, man."
Tell me about a time someone talked about you in another language and you showed them that you understood them in that language.
So this happened a long time ago, but I remember like it was yesterday. So I'm working in retail and I'm bagging this woman's stuff. This woman is Spanish. So while I'm bagging her stuff, I am struggling to get her stuff into a bag, and it's taking me forever. So this woman turns to another Spanish woman behind her and starts speaking Spanish, and she says the words something, mujer and rapido, and knowing what I know from taking like my high school 1 and 2 class Spanish 1 and 2 classes, I know the mujer means woman, and rapido obviously means quickly or rapidly. And so after she talks to her, like they start laughing. So I was like, okay. So I get done bagging her stuff, and I say, "I'm sorry, miss. Maybe if I was a woman, I could have got it done faster." And she just stands there shocked, and then she's like, no. And I was like, "Yeah, I caught you, miss."
Tell me about a time someone talked about you in another language and you showed them that you
All
understood.
the ones I've seen so far have been like negative ones, but I've got a positive one. So I was in Thailand, I was in my hotel, I got into the lift, and my room was on the 16th floor, and these 2 Korean girls walk in and they're on the 15th floor. So I'm standing at the front of the lift and they're standing behind me, and we're the only 3 people in the lift. And then they start talking. 와, 잘생겼어. 이민호 닮았어. 태국 사람 아닌 것 같은데. 외국인이지. Literally standing there like grinning, like with the biggest grin on my face, and I'm like, I gotta tell them that I know what they're talking about. Before I could say anything, we got to their floor. So we're on the 15th floor, the lift doors open, and they get out the lift, and the lift doors are slowly closing, and I'm like, now or never. 런던에서 왔어요. I think it probably took them like a second to register what had just happened, because a second later, there was the loudest scream I've ever heard in my life.
Tell me about a time someone talked about you in another language and you showed them that you understood them in that language.
I bet. I already told the story, but I'm gonna tell you this again because it fits the context so well. You guys didn't know, I also speak French. Oui, monsieur. This one day, I'm just doing my job and these 2 guys come into the store and I end up serving them. I could already tell they were French just from the whole accent they've got going on. End up getting the shoe that they wanted, and they end up talking between each other and being like, "Oh, mais t'as entendu la façon dont il parle, mais c'est un PD quoi." Which roughly translates to, "Oh my god, have you seen the way he speaks? He sounds like a faggot." Obviously, I'm offended as shit, but I just go along with it. We get to the counter, I give them their bag and their receipt, and I say, "Allez, voici votre reçu, passez une bonne soirée, espèce d'enculé." Which roughly translates to, "Here's your bag and your receipt, have an awesome evening, bitch." They were stunned and looking at each other like, "Oh shit." And they ran out the store. I never seen someone leave the store so fast.